Good Thursday morning. I'm WFMY News 2 meteorologist Ed Matthews. Of course, as Hurricane Helene continues to gain strength in the Gulf of Mexico and already starting to have impacts on the southeast, including the Carolinas and Virginia, we thought it would be nice to update you. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we expect here in our part of the Piedmont. Of course, tomorrow is a weather impact alert day, and that's pretty much all day, but we think the greatest impacts from the storm will come during the Good Morning Show tomorrow. Definitely wake up early and turn on to the Good Morning Show. We'll have the very latest information. Might be some ponding of water on the streets and highways for that morning commute. So morning through midday are going to be the greatest impacts from the remnants and the dying storm Helene. Gusty winds, heavy rain, and the possibility of even tornadoes coming up tomorrow morning. We couldn't rule out a few of those. We've already had several tornado warnings over the southeast, from right here in North Carolina out over the foothills and mountains and down through Georgia and into Florida. So that's going to be a concern as well. Go ahead and charge your devices, cell phones, computers, and if you happen to have maybe a battery operated TV, that would be a real smart move, so you continue to watch us here on WFMY News 2. As the 11 a.m. advisory, it continues to get stronger. It's a Category 2 storm now. Maximum sustained winds are at 105 miles per hour. It's about 255 miles southwest of Tampa, Florida. It's still a respectable distance away from the Big Bend area of Florida and the Panhandle. You see this area right here. This is in general where we think the eye of the storm will approach and move through, probably during the evening and overnight hours, but they're already getting heavy downpours and the winds are increasing in that area. Moving off to the north, the forward speed is up a little bit. It's moving on to the north-northeast at about 14 miles per hour. As we look at our weather impact situation, again, this is going to be Friday morning and through midday, and then we actually see some improvements in the afternoon. Here locally, 35 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts, again in the morning through midday. Heavy rain bands, 1 to 2 inches of rain, but we could see areas of isolated 3 inches of rain here in the Triad. Now, much more rain out over the foothills and especially the mountain locations. I'll show you a graphic in just a minute that suggests that some parts of the mountains could get over a foot of rain and the foothills could get over 5 inches of rain. So be on the lookout and the alert for the possibility of flash flooding, even here in the immediate Triad, but especially west of the Triad, and those power outages. And of course, there is a respectable chance of tornadoes by tomorrow morning. We've had no measurable rainfall so far today in the Triad. We've had some sprinkles, but look at Asheville. Much more rain to come, but already over 4 inches of rain there, over 1.25 inches over at Boone, and about 1 inch at Greenville, South Carolina. Augusta, Georgia, approaching 1.5 inches. Now, about 1.73 inches of rain at Wilkesboro, and of course we saw Boone. Now, this rain will essentially pivot onto the east as we go through the afternoon, as we're starting to see the rain pick up. We'll see this batch move through, maybe a little break during the evening, and then late tonight, after midnight and towards tomorrow morning, we're really going to start to see the rain come down here in the Piedmont. And you can see to our south a large area of rain with embedded thunderstorms. Again, we've had several tornado warnings. We've got one in effect now for the eastern section of Georgia, and we're going to be watching for the possibility of some of those for the rest of today through tomorrow morning. Of course, the system offshore, you don't see anything on radar here because it's just too far to the west and to the southwest of the land-based radars, but you can see the essential band of rain that's kind of channeling up through Georgia, South Carolina, into western North Carolina, and also for our friends in southwestern Virginia. We are already seeing flood warnings. We've got one for Wilkes County and Allegheny County. That's until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Those are the counties shaded in red, and also we've got some over western North Carolina in the Blue Ridge. Technically, the Triad is not in a flood watch, but that may be extended. It mainly goes just west of Winston-Salem and all the way out over the mountain locations. Again, the risk of maybe a few spin-up tornadoes. We've already seen some of those this morning, those tornado warnings. And so we'll be watching those for the overnight period. The better chance of those and could be widespread, so it bears watching. We can see more of those as we go through the Good Morning Show tomorrow. So it is just really, really important that you wake up early and turn on the Good Morning Show for the very latest information. This is the wind gust distribution that we're looking at. 45 to 55 mile per hour wind gust. Here in the Triad and the foothills, 35 to 45 mile per hour wind gust. And of course, lesser amounts of wind and wind gust as we go into eastern North Carolina. This is not a coastal storm like we usually think about. Here in the Triad and points to the west, we really have to monitor those systems as they move in from the Gulf of Mexico, especially for heavy rain. And man, we're talking about the possibility of some flooding rain and historical flooding out over the mountain locations. Some of those peaks could get over 7 to 12 inches of rain. Here locally, in general, for the foothills and the Triad region, about 2 to 4 inches of rain. And of course, again, lesser amounts as we go into eastern North Carolina. So this is kind of reverse from what we normally think. We think the more inclement weather is down east, but again, this is not an East Coast storm. This is a Gulf of Mexico storm. Power outages. That's the reason I talked about charging up your devices today. We will likely see many over the mountains, some here in the Triad, and of course less in terms of any of those power outages for tonight and during the day tomorrow. Already seeing the tropical storm warnings that go all the way up towards Charlotte and over to the mountains of the Blue Ridge and parts of Georgia, and of course down into areas of into Florida are seeing the possibility of hurricane warnings that have been issued where they could see easily winds in excess of 74 miles per hour, likely much higher than that. But once the storm moves inland tonight, it will be weakening. For the rest of today, we'll see some rain around, a few thunderstorms a possibility with some heavy downpours. Looking at mid-70s for us today. The rain only increases and gets more intense after midnight tonight. Scattered storms will be mixed in as lows drop to near 70. Of course, our weather impact alert day coming our way for Friday. Rain and wind, especially during the Good Morning Show in the morning and up through about midday. And then I think we'll start to see some improvements as the system moves on up. The remnant low moves on up into the Tennessee Valley west of the Triad. And at the moment, we're looking at a much drier and really pretty decent weekend coming up. And I think after what we're getting ready to go through, we will be ready for that dry weekend. Highs over the weekend will be in the upper 70s to right near the 80-degree mark. Stay with us here on WFMY News 2. As the storm gets closer, we're going to continue to update our forecast. You can get information right here on WFMY News 2 and on our website, WFMYnews2.com. Stay safe and have a good day.